trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone, my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord of all. When darkness seems to hide His face, I rest on His unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. My anchor holds within the veil. Christ alone, my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord of all. When He shall come with trumpet sound, oh, may I then in Him be found, dressed in His righteousness alone, faultless to stand before the throne. Christ alone, my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord of all. Alone, you're my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord of all. Hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. For I spoke a word, you were singing over you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, needs the 99. And I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for that. Well, those ladies were with us on our missions trip to Dominican Republic, along with several others. We had 13 of us in all that got to travel to Dominican Republic, and many of them for the very first time to go on a missions trip. And we had a great trip, and we want to share some of those things that we got to be involved with and to minister and to take part of. And so at first, we're going to share a video with you, show some pictures and some videos of what we got to be involved with, and you're going to be able to hear from some of our teens tonight with their testimonies. All right. I want to thank Bailey Thompson for putting that video together for us tonight to share with you. And as you can see, we got to do a lot while we were in Dominican Republic. And I want to give our group, a team, an opportunity to share with you some things that they enjoyed doing and got to be a part of, and let you hear from them this evening. So we're going to start off with Emma Fullerton, come on up. And then after Emma will be James, Emily, Sharon, Mr. Powell, Jenny, then Bailey will be in that order. All right, Emma?
Okay, thank you. So first off, I would like to say thank you to all of you for all your prayer and your support you have given us on this trip. It was definitely so encouraging to know that back at home, we had a church of family members and people we love praying for us, and we can definitely feel it while we were on the fields. I wanted to share one big answer to prayer that happened before the trip even started. I have had problems in the past with migration papers and my passport and just some documents that I was having some problems with, but I was able to get those all checked out, and it all worked, and I was able to go on that trip. So that was definitely a huge answer to prayer that before we even got on the field. This trip overall was very eye-opening and convicting, and I can definitely say that each of us learned something that we could take home with us. For almost all of us, this was our first mission trip, and we didn't quite know what to expect, but we all knew that we were gonna have fun, and we were gonna love it, and of course we did. That first day of VBS, we were on the bus getting there, and we all were kind of nervous to some degree, but we were very excited, but we didn't know what to do, we didn't know what to expect, but we didn't even have to try. We got off the bus, and kids came up to you and just hugged you. They didn't know who you were, they didn't care, and that was definitely something that it took us out of our comfort zones, but we fell in love with these kids, and they were so excited to see you each day, and they would be waiting for our bus to get there, and they would already be in lines knowing who they wanted and who they wanted to go see. Each morning, how we invited kids and shared that we were doing this VBS was, each morning we would go on a walk. We would split into two groups, and one group would go one side of the village, and the other would go on the other side, and then we would come back and meet where the church was. I looked forward to this every morning. I don't know why, but it was so neat and also very humbling to see and walk around their village. But you would walk down and invite kids like, hey, we're having a VBS at the church. You want to come? We have candy, we have a craft, we have a lesson for you. And the kids loved it, and they would come and see you. And what was really cool and neat to see was these kids, they could have been more than 10 or 12, and they would have a baby with them, a 2-year-old, and they would bring them their younger siblings to church to help out their parents. And that was definitely something that that really stood out to me, that how these kids treated their family, but also helped out their parents with the younger ones. And we had 2-year-olds coming to VBS. Teaching was definitely a challenge, not a challenge, but what we learned early on was these kids are so much like our US kids, and they have 10-minute, not even attention spans, and if something doesn't have motions, they are not interested. So we definitely had to learn different tricks to keep them engaged with us and to have fun with them. And that was just a learning time for us too, on how to teach and how to engage with these kids and have fun with them. They love singing and songs, and they love music. We brought a ukulele with us, and the kids loved it. I don't think any of us had it in our hands that entire trip. It was always being passed around, and they loved just trying to make whatever sound that they could out of it, and that was very fun and neat to see. Working as a team was an experience for all of us, because we all were friends and knew each other before, but we have never been thrown into the situation of we're living together and we have to work together on a field. So learning what each person's strengths and weaknesses were and how to see them grow into that and work with it, that was so cool to me, because I learned more about the people who I was already friends with, but we also got closer in knowing who liked what and who really did well in this and what they enjoyed. And we were able to set up our team and get more effective throughout the week. One big blessing that we did experience was we got to meet a lot of new people and grow closer with them, which that was definitely a big thing that all of us enjoyed, was getting close to the workers there at Tierra Alta, but also with the pastors that we visited. And that was so encouraging because we didn't know if we were going to meet anybody, and we didn't know if it was just going to be our team, but that definitely helped us ease into this week. And it was such an encouragement to know that there are other people that are doing what we did, and they loved it. And that definitely made our week harder to leave them, but relationships really you do make relationships even if it's just a week. And I think that's so important, and it shows that God really uses relationships and people to impact others. This was such an amazing trip, and I have so many stories, and there's so many things that we could have told you. But I really do believe that God was in this with us, and you could feel his presence, and he's so faithful. And so thank you for all your prayers and your support, and I can't wait to go back.
Thank you, Emma. And while James is coming up, I forgot to dismiss a group of children for Mrs. Tyndall after the video. So Mrs. Tyndall has a class for the children, also for the group that's from China here. So you guys can go ahead and be dismissed out the back door with Mrs. Tyndall. And she's going to take you over to the chapel while James comes up and shares with us.
Good evening. I have my cheat sheet here. So, one of the things that Emma mentioned was how they love to sing, and they love the song. So, we did several like kids songs, so they would relate to it more. And one song, we split into two teams, and we kind of tortured Jonas to go play faster on guitar as fast as he could, and they would all clap as fast as they could. Another one was read your Bible and pray every day and you'll grow, 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 and they had fun jumping up and going up and down. Another one was we split into two teams, Jonas's team and Bailey's team, and then we did Alleluia, Alleluia, Gloria a Dios, as you saw in the video. And there was one point you could not hear anything except for the kids. They were so loud and so joyful, and even though they were competing against each other on the two teams, they still sung as much as they could, as even like down here, some kids wouldn't sing anything. We also did 3 crafts. The first craft we did was the wordless book bracelet. So that was the easiest craft because all you had to do was tie a knot, put some beads on there, and give it to them. The other 2 crafts that we did were for the 10 Commandments. We gave them an iPhone that was made out of paper, and inside for each of the numbers 1 through 10 were the commandments 1 through 10. So we had fun trying to glue that in the humidity and all that. The third craft that we did, which you saw also in the video, was the crosses, the wooden crosses where they could decorate it with beads or gems, however they wanted to, but just to remember that Jesus died for them on that cross. It was interesting becoming an adult on that trip. And that was kind of cool how they surprised me and all that stuff with the party. And Maciel and Eddie were just like our parents, trying to help us whenever we can, me and Sharon. One thing that really made me look differently at the DR than I had before was one person, Pastor Joel, he would come up to me and he would say, Shane Jr. He would call me Shane Jr. And I would be like, okay, because I don't usually like being called my dad's son or stuff like that, or being like a junior to my dad. But in that context, it changed my perception, because my dad had put so much work into the DR that they had realized that. And I got to see many people that had gone to his conferences, and they said hi and said, I recognize you, thank you for coming, thank you for being here, just like your dad and all that. So that changed my perception a lot, from it's not that bad to be called Shane Jr. So thank you.
Good evening, everybody. A lot of you don't know me.
I went to school here. I just graduated. I went here for 15 years, and I also come every now and then to church here. But thank you so much for all the prayers that you guys had while we were over there and before. Well, my job over there during the VBS was to do a missionary story. And I was speaking about Hudson Taylor, he was this little boy from England who fell in love with China. And eventually he went to China and became a missionary. And through him, thousands of missionaries ended up going to China. So I started telling the little kids these stories. And at first I was like, oh man, they're not going to be that interested in it. And I was a little disappointed. But then the first day, like, I sat down because, you know, they don't have very big attention spans, as Emma was saying. But, you know, Bailey helped me holding up some pictures from the VBS book, so that also helped. So I sat down, and I was a little disappointed. But then they start asking questions, these little kids. And they all just start, like, jumping up and raising their hands. And, like, they would say the story, like, detail by detail, like, probably better than I knew the story. And that just, like, shocked me how much enthusiasm they had and how much attention they paid. And VBS was just an amazing experience. And the thing that impacted me most about this trip was that God really uses, like, the people that you expect the least just to, like, go out. Like, you wouldn't expect, like, teenagers like us, like, just to go to this huge trip and impact so many people. But God uses, like, the people that you least expect to go to the corners of the world where they have never ever heard the gospel, just to reach them. And when we went to the orphanage, and we all started playing Reckless Love. That's why we did the special this morning. And we were just in the first room just singing, and all of a sudden, like, all of us, like, at least at one point we were all crying, or we had to stop because, like, we just felt that presence, and we just felt broken down. Because personally for me, it was that God was showing me I could even use you to come to these places, and that was what impacted me the most. So I hope you guys have fun hearing the rest of the story.
I would like to start off by saying thank you so much for the financial support. When I heard we were having a trip, I was, like, super excited, but then I was, like, a little nervous, just as money was a big thing and it was a big deal. And I just want to thank you guys so much for all of the help, and especially all of the prayers. I just know that while we were on this trip that we were in God's will, and God wanted us there, and that was something that he planned for us. I'm going to talk about the orphanage, which is a bit of a downer. It was emotional. This was my second time to the DR, but this time I got to do more children's ministry, which was really impactful. I really enjoyed that a lot more. But we got to go to the orphanage again, which I had already been there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be okay. I'm prepared. I've already gone through this. Like, I've seen these kids, like, in their state. I'm not going to be, like, I'm going to be able to, you know, hold it in. But then, as, like, Emily said, we got in there, and we saw these kids and their faces, and I was just like, wow, like, that's like, amazing, their testimonies, and even the people that work their testimonies, that they can love God, and just seeing them happy. And then, like Emily said, we started singing Reckless Love, and I was like, wow, this song has a new meaning for me, because God will go to any length. He'll take you at any point in your life. He'll take these kids that have so many, like, physical disabilities, mental disabilities, and he loves them. And that's not an accident. They're made that way, and that he loves them like that, and he knows each and every one of them. And that was just really, like, impactful on all of us, I think. Not all of us broke in the first room, but I know as we walked through the orphanage and we were just singing with these kids, you saw the video, that one girl, she was in charge. She was like, you're gonna stand here, we're gonna sing. She's like, grab the ukulele, she started playing. She's like, this doesn't sound right. She starts turning the knobs. You see Jonas's face like, okay, I hope the strings don't pop. And, but no, she was just in charge the entire time, and we were just having fun glorifying God, which was something that I feel like even here we don't even get that sometimes. Also, something I'd like to talk about is just like James touched on, like they're family there. Like, there's no uncomfortableness. There's no, like, you can go up and talk to anyone. I know for me, I was like very, very worried because like I don't speak Spanish, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to communicate. What if I like need something? But God gave us amazing translators. People on the team that spoke Spanish, and I just even tried to speak Spanish myself, and it was just like a really like eye-opening experience. Like, they're very open and they love you, and the people there are just so like accepting. And I know that this will not be the last time I will be going back, and thank you so much.
Good evening. I want to thank the Lord, first of all, for giving me the opportunity to go. This was my second time going to the Dominican Republic, but the first time with church. The first time I went was whenever I was younger. I was 12 years old, and I went to a different part of the Dominican Republic. So I was trying to ask around, seeing if people at the spot we went to here knew of the missionary that I went to, but unfortunately no one knew. But it was a different role that I was playing this time because I was a sponsor or chaperone. So my first thought is going to another country with several teenagers. I don't know how this will go, So it was a little nerve-wracking, but it was an amazing opportunity to go. And really what impacted me was seeing our kids serve and seeing our kids work. And they did really well. And it was really humbling and very touching just to see them serve. And we didn't just serve in the church, Vacation Bible School, but we also did the painting. You see the church there? The before is on the left with the white, and our kids show up and they're like, oh, it's already painted. It's white. So they say anything that is white needs to become cream, and anything that was stone, like you see on the left, needs to turn white. So, okay, we got this. And we told the kids, make sure most of the paint gets on the building and not yourself. But I think I got the most painted. I look at myself afterwards, and I think I'm more paint than clothes, and so the kids did a better job than I did. But it was really amazing just to see them work. And this church was kind of a sister church with Tierra Alta. The church had been meeting in a house for several years, and then they just were donated this land, so they were able to build this church building, really nice, beautiful on the inside. So we were able to finish the paint on the outside. And here on the left, there was, to the left of the church is an office. They had a restroom and then kind of a storage building. So we were just painting for them. And that took the morning time, and then we broke and went back for lunch, which the food there was amazing. No one's mentioned it so far, but they eat really well. And I think if I stayed there, I would actually bulk up a little bit because it's all protein. It's all like treated, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but it was really good food. So after that, it was really hard to get us back to work because the next place we went to was a place called Holt's House. So it was named Holt's House because there was forget how old he was, but it was a young man that went to the Dominican on a mission trip, and his last name was Holtz, and he just got a burden for these kids in this town, Boca Chica. And so he was burdened, passionate about going back, but he passed away here in the States. And so in honor of him, there was another man, his name was Chris, I forget his last name. But he runs this place. They named it after him, Holt's House. So they bring in these troubled kids, is the way they described it. And just these boys that have a rough background, that need the encouragement, the uplifting in the Lord, and they just bring them in, spend a couple hours with them after school, really work with their school because the education system is very poor down there. So really help them with their education, but also with their spiritual lives as well. So they needed the wall on the outside of the compound painted. So the wall needed the primer first, which was the white, but then it also needed gray on top. So part of the wall was already finished with the gray, but then we put on the white, and the kids are like, what's the difference? The white and the gray, like, are we doing anything? But it was a learning experience for us, and it was really good just to serve wherever they needed us. And it was amazing to see our kids serve, but also see, like some of the kids have mentioned, the workers there serving, and that really touched me the most. So I want to thank you guys personally for supporting us by prayers and also financially as well.
Hi everybody, my name is Jenny Gonzalez, and I just wanted to tell you thank you for everything you guys did for us, from praying for us to our financially, to all the donations like clothes, medicine, and everything. The DR experience was an amazing experience. Every minute of it was just life-changing for all those that we were able to help, and for us as well. We were able to see God in miraculous ways, in ways that we were never able to see. I wanted to talk to you guys about the mobile clinic. As many of you guys know, I am a nurse, and for me this was a dream come true. I've always loved the medical field, and my dream was always to go to other countries and be able to help with the talents and gifts that God has given me. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. Every Thursday, the facility we went to, which was Tierra Alta, they go to different villages who need medical help. And so they spend the whole day there. So we were able to go. We loaded up in a little bus, which was about 10 of us. And from 8 in the morning all the way to the afternoon, we were able to do these clinics. I was able to be the one who assessed the patients before the doctor was able to see it. And it was just an incredible ministry, because you see all these doctors and nurses, and even though those people that don't have medical experience, just from the people that helped us with electricity to the people that were just telling people about God, it was just an amazing, incredible experience. The day that Thursday, 7 people got saved. So it was amazing, because not only were we able to help them physically, but we were also able to help them spiritually. So again, thank you so much for all your prayers and all the things that you were able to do for us. Thank you.
Good evening. Once again, thank you so much for all the support, not only financially, but also for all of you who prayed for us. Thank you for that. So Tierra Alta is a place in Boca Chica where we stayed on the complex, and also where the camp was held. So when we were over in the Dominican Republic, Michael, who was one of the camp directors there, the first day we got there, he had like a meeting with us, going over like the different rules at the complex and everything like that. And in that meeting, he also told us that on Friday that we would be given the opportunity to share the gospel with the campers that attended the camp. So at first I was like kind of nervous, like I don't know the language, like I'm not gonna be able to really share the gospel with them, whatever. So he said, oh, if you don't know Spanish, then we'll give you a counselor who will be translating for you. So I was still nervous, like, wow, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, like I don't even know what I'm gonna say. But Friday came, and the campers arrived in the afternoon, and all of a sudden they play games for 3 hours, but during that time also the counselors take kids out and they share the gospel with them. So I got with the counselor who was going to be translating for me, and we just started, and the Lord was there, because like I said, I was very nervous and didn't know what I was going to say, but the Lord ended up helping me lead 7 girls to the Lord, and 2 that heard the gospel but didn't receive. But it was really cool to see that, because like I said, I was very nervous and didn't know what I was going to say, but the Lord used me, and I'm very thankful for that. So once again, thank you so much for all your prayers, and it was definitely an amazing trip, and can't wait for the next opportunity to go on another mission trip. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for those testimonies. As you can tell, we had a great team that went with us. Our whole team's not here tonight. Some are out of town, but God just really used the different gifts from the different team members to really just make it a group effort this past, I guess it was last week that we were able to minister. And as you get to see, we did a little bit of everything, and which was really great for a missions trip. Get to do some teaching, some singing, but even some manual labor and going through all that. The church that we were painting, the pastor there is Pastor Ulysses, which many years ago we helped work in his church about 15 minutes away. So that church they're starting there is another church plant that he's starting and helping get started. So that was neat to see him and to see the work that they're doing continue to increase. But also, we just want to again say thank you so much for your support. Financially, we were able to be a blessing to the people there in Dominican Republic in many ways. We didn't show you all the ways that we were able to serve, but let me just give you a couple of the ways. We had a lot of things given to us, either to our group or through the Schroeders when they went down there a few weeks earlier. And we were able, in the church that we did VBS, we had a lot of clothes that we were able to bag up and put them in little care packages with some gospel tracts. And Pastor Joel, the pastor of the church that we did VBS in, we went around, we invited all the ladies from the village to come through the church, and we were able to hand out clothes to each one of the ladies, and they were very thankful. And then we invited them back to a Bible study that they would do later that week. And so Pastor Joel sent me a video message saying that the ladies very much appreciated, and there was a very good attendance in the Bible study with those ladies in the village. So that was a big praise. We also did something very similar there in the camp facility. We had some more clothes, and ladies through different places came to the camp facility as well to get more clothes. We were able to buy lots of groceries for the nursing home we visited and also the orphanage we visited. And so God really not only met all of our needs, but he was also able to meet many needs that we came across there in Dominican Republic. And as being a leader of the group, one thing I always try to be very careful on is just being a good steward of the money that we spend, the money that we use. And I can honestly say that we did a good job of that this trip, not just meeting different needs, but I believe the investment in the lives of those who went was also a tremendous investment. We did not come back the same, as you can just tell from these testimonies, and I know God is working in their hearts. And I was just thinking, why do we do missions trips? What's the purpose of that? Do we do any effect at all to the places that we go? And I can say after this trip, we have. We were a huge blessing to the churches there, to the people there. But they were also a huge blessing and encouragement to us. And so I know we came back very grateful and thankful, but also it's just a great blessing to see the work that God is doing around this world. We heard a little bit about it in Greece earlier in the service, and also seeing what God is doing in the Dominican Republic.